Good evening, everybody. Let me know if the sound is alright. It's been a while. It's been a while since since. Not working. Wow. Let me quickly change some things. Right. Let me know. Audio should be good now. It just turned off for a couple of seconds. But let me know. We just got the interest rate decision, which shockingly was actually a 50 base points decrease instead of a 25 base points decrease. Here you can see the interest rate went down to 5% from 5.5. Yeah, sound is good right now, right? The sound turned off for a brief moment, but should be good. Is the quality also good? Let me know. I'm quickly sharing the link, and then we'll get into what this means. Now the audio should be good right now. It was cutting in and out. Should be good now. At least for me, it shows that it's good, but let me know. And then at the same point of time, I will share that I am live. And then we'll get to this because there's enough to talk about. Let me see. I posted it on Telegram. We'll post it on Discord as well. There we go. So how's everyone doing? How's everyone feeling? I put out a poll earlier that asking you if you were bullish or bearish. To be honest with you, at this point of time, I am bullish. Just to get that out of the way. I'm bullish, but I do think the press conference, because that is one of the key reasons why we're streaming right now, because we will follow the press conference live. I do think the press conference matters, all right? Because if you don't know, like what you need to know is basically the following. A 50 base points cut is bullish because lower interest rates are always bullish for asset markets. However, the last two times that the Federal Reserve started cutting rates, so basically they were raising rates and then the rate was very high. And the first time they cut rates, the last two times they cut it by 50 base points the first time, the asset markets went down in the first year, all right? Now, I am still bullish, all right, because the last two times that happened was 2007 and 2001. And for those of you who have been around for a longer period of time, as you know, those were times of economic crises, all right? I think right now the economy is still doing fine. I don't think there are major recession fears, and therefore I still think this is bullish. The reaction so far is relatively bullish, although we're still waiting for that. We're still waiting for the press conference to really get some sort of a direction going. But as you can see, right now it's doing pretty fine. But that's also why this press conference, which we'll listen into in a moment, that's also why it's that important, all right? Because if they will talk about a recession, and if they will talk about a potential recession coming, and that they have some sort of signs for that, that is bearish, all right? So that's the main thing we'll be listening for. And then in general, right now the expectation, I think for the remainder of 2024 was a total of 125 base points decrease, all right? So in total, we still have a couple of more interest rate decisions towards the end of the year. It's also going to be interesting what they will say about that. So we'll look at that in a moment. Now let's quickly watch some chats. Hoeveel ga je inzetten? Ik heb net Bitcoin gekocht. Okay, so a little bit of Dutch, but I bought at around like 60,000. I bought a little bit. I opened a spot grid trading bot. All right, so if you don't know what it is, you can open that on basically every exchange, and that basically like it creates these grids, creates these levels, and it buys and sells in that area. So basically, my bias is bullish. So I open it between like 70. And 52,000. So basically it buys and sells in that range, and then I will just take profits at 70,000. But I bought Bitcoin. That's what I did. Yeah, do you put your assets in Bitcoin? I'm very bullish for Q4. Like I said, we could still see a dump after this news. So that is something you still do have to be careful for, and that could also happen after this press conference. Like I said, like the main thing is that we've dropped down by 50 base points. That's normally bullish, but the last time we got recession fears was right here, and you can see what the market does then. All right, so if we actually get that, if we get recession fears, that's going to be very bearish, and then we can still even drop down into the 40s. Now, I don't think that we're going to do that. I've been following economic events quite a bit, well, basically for the last 2 years. And it doesn't look to me like the US is getting into a recession. Sure, unemployment is going up a little bit, but it's a little bit, all right? It's not that all of a sudden a lot of people are going unemployed, etc. Yeah, no, the press conference is in 3 minutes, so I already have it. I already have it ready here. I'm going to see if I can turn on the audio. It's not live yet. It's in 3 minutes. But I'm going to see if I can turn on the audio. I should be able to do so. If everything is all right. Is it actually starting? No, that's just the sound. But you cannot hear the sound right now. All right, I'm going to do a test. Let me know if you can hear the live stream sound now. Let me know, because you should be able to hear it, and then I can just play the live stream, and then you can watch together with me, and I'll do sort of a commentary on what they're saying, right? Because what they will say at this press conference will matter a lot, and that's also why the initial reaction by the markets is bullish. So the markets do seem to like this 50 base points decrease, but now we need to know what the plan is. Well, thank you very much, chat. That's a lot of yeses. Amsterdam here. Yeah, we're filming from Amsterdam, guys. Come on. You wouldn't get copyrighted. The last 2 times I wasn't copyrighted, so I think there's no real copyright on the Federal Reserve live stream, or they're not enforcing it. So either way, we're just going to do it. And if it gets copyright strikes, I just won't earn money with this video. That's fine as well. So that's Alkmaar also here. Apeldoorn, come on. The entirety of the Netherlands is here. That's good to know. I'm thinking of, just for the Dutchies in here, I'm thinking of maybe creating some sort of a Dutch-specific community channel. Let me know if you'd be interested in that. But I would, I'd keep you updated on that in some sort of a video or something. But that's not here yet. But I'm thinking about that. So 1 more minute should be any time now. And then we do have to do some tests. Husaifa, I don't know. I don't know what your Bitcoin trade is. Where's your stop loss? Where's your take profit? What's your risk? I don't know. No, it's okay, Flipper. Making a community is well worth the work. I would say it's always good to have a community just of like-minded people, right? And then you also share something with each other. So I think that's great. But would keep you updated on that. For those of you who joined later, I bought Bitcoin at 60,000. That's a very risky play, all right? I'm just in general, when I look at Q4, if you look at, for example, the dollar strength index, in my opinion, the dollar strength index is going to break down here. And every time the dollar strength index broke down, the last 2 times, a bull run started, all right? So that's why I bought Bitcoin. I think over the course of, we're starting. Okay, sorry. Let me see. I'm too slow now.
Afternoon.
You should be able to hear this.
My colleagues and I remain squarely focused on achieving our dual mandate goals of maximum employment and stable prices for the benefit of the American people.
Can you hear this?
Our economy is strong overall and has made significant progress toward our goals over the past 2 years. The labor market has cooled from its formerly overheated state. Inflation has eased substantially from a peak of 7% to an estimated 2.2% as of August. We're committed to maintaining our economy's strength by supporting maximum employment and returning inflation to our 2% goal. Today, the Federal Open Market Committee decided confidence that with an appropriate recalibration of our policy stance, strength in the labor market can be maintained in a context of moderate growth and inflation moving sustainably down to 2%. We also decided to continue to reduce our securities holdings. I will have more to say about monetary policy after briefly reviewing economic developments.
Yeah, so this works, right?
Recent indicators suggest that economic activity has continued to expand at a solid pace. GDP rose at an annual rate of 2.2% in the first half of the year, and available data point to a roughly similar pace of growth this quarter. Growth of consumer spending has remained resilient, and investment in equipment and intangibles has picked up from its anemic pace last year.
So we'll just watch it together.
In the housing sector, investment fell back in the second quarter after rising strongly in the first.
Then I'll speak. And
improving supply conditions have supported resilient demand and the strong performance of the U.S. economy over the past year. In our summary of economic projections, committee participants generally expect GDP growth to remain solid, with a median projection of 2% over the next few years.
This is bullish.
In the labor market, conditions have continued to cool.
Excuse me, that was bullish, because he's basically saying that the US economy will still grow, and their expectations is that it will grow, so then there's no recession.
The unemployment rate has moved up, but remains low at 4.2%. Nominal wage growth has eased over the past year, and the jobs to workers gap has narrowed. Overall, a broad set of indicators suggest that conditions in the labor market are now less tight than just before the pandemic in 2019. The labor market is not a source of elevated inflationary pressures. The median projection.
I agree. This sounds very bullish. Like, compared to all the other interest rate decisions, etc., this is a whole different tone. So for me, this is bullish, and I think the market agrees so far.
Estimates based on the Consumer Price Index and other data indicate that total PCE prices rose 2.2% over the 12 months ending in August, and that excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices rose 2.7%. Longer-term inflation expectations appear to remain well anchored, as reflected in a broad range of surveys of households, businesses, and forecasters, as well as measures from financial markets. The median projection in the SEP for total PCE inflation is 2.3% this year and 2.1% next year, somewhat lower than projected in June. Thereafter, the median projection is 2%.
Okay, lower than projected, that's bullish as well, because their projections now are better. Less inflation is good, right?
Stable prices for the American people. For much of the past 3 years, inflation ran well above our 2% goal, and labor market conditions were extremely tight. Our primary focus had been on bringing down inflation, and appropriately so. We are acutely aware that high inflation imposes.
I'm sorry, that was an alert of a crypto.
Essentials like food, housing, and transportation.
That loud beep.
Our restrictive monetary policy has helped restore the balance between aggregate supply and demand, easing inflationary pressures and ensuring that inflation expectations remain well anchored. Our patient approach over the past year has paid dividends. Inflation is now much closer to our objective, and we have gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2%. As inflation has declined and the labor market.
Bullish. So far bullish.
And the downside risks to employment have increased.
Okay, sorry for those beeps. Prices are pumping. Every time you hear a beep, that means that a price target was hit, right? So, I'm sorry.
Inflation and the balance of risks. At today's meeting, the committee decided to lower the target range for the federal funds rate by a half percentage point to 4.75% to 5%. This recalibration of our policy stance will help maintain the strength of the economy.
Excuse me. I have an alert on the reserve rights, RSR. Here you can see it. Everything is pumping, right? But YGG, Yield Guild Games, alert. And C98, but that's a bit of a scam coin.
We know that reducing policy restraint too quickly could hinder progress on inflation. At the same time, reducing restraint too slowly could unduly weaken economic activity and employment. In considering additional adjustments to the target range for the federal funds rate, the committee will carefully assess incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. In our SEP, FOMC participants wrote down their individual assessments of an appropriate path for the federal funds rate based on what each participant judges to be the most likely scenario going forward. If the economy evolves as expected, the median participant projects that the appropriate level of the federal funds rate will be 4.4% at the end of this year and 3.4% at the end of 2025.
Okay, I need to. Yeah, no. Let's just keep listening.
As well as the changed balance of risks. These projections, however, are not a committee plan or decision. As the economy evolves, monetary policy will adjust in order to best promote our maximum employment and price stability goals. If the economy remains solid and inflation persists, we can dial back policy restraint more slowly. If the labor market were to weaken unexpectedly or inflation were to fall more quickly than anticipated, we are prepared to respond. Policy is well positioned to deal with the risks and uncertainties that we face in pursuing both sides of our dual mandate. The Fed has been assigned two goals for monetary policy: maximum employment and stable prices. We remain committed to supporting maximum employment, bringing inflation back down to our 2% goal, and keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored. Our success in delivering on these goals matters to all Americans. We understand that our actions...
It's mostly Bitcoin right now, right? The Bitcoin dominance is increasing like a rocket here. And Bitcoin is quite bullish here. But it's mostly Bitcoin. There will be, like, altcoins will move up together, will move up as well. So he's going to the questions now. So I just wanted to, I'm going to turn off the sound here. Maybe if they get some interesting questions, we'll dial back in. But so far, these questions are sometimes interesting. So we'll look at those in a moment. But so far this is bullish. All right. So far, the main worry was a 50 base points decrease. Maybe they're thinking a recession is coming, and he hasn't spoken about that one time. All right, and he at the end he talked a little bit about, well, regarding the prices and the employment. If the prices and the employment start to develop in such a way that we have to slow down a little bit more, then that's possible, and we can speed up a little bit more as well. But in general, this is positive development of the monetary policy. So I'm not going to tell you that we'll instantly pump here and that we're going to turn into a bull run. But I do think we have a chance to break above 62,000 here. And I think if we break above 62,000 here, we have a good chance to at least get back up to the top of the range here, or towards 68,000. But there is a chance as well that we'll break out. Like I said, what you see at this point of time is that the dollar strength index is very, very weak. The last two times the dollar strength index turned bearish, which at this point of time, I think you can still argue that we are consolidating here. If the dollar strength index turns bearish, the last two times it did that were right here. That's the beginning of 2020. We started the bull market. And the time before that was 2017 until 2018. Then we also started the bull market. So I'm not trying to get you hyped up, and I'm not trying to tell you, oh, buy Bitcoin now and you'll be rich. But those are the reasons why I bought Bitcoin. All right. And I think what he said so far in terms of what they expect from the monetary policy, there's no real fear for a recession, it seems to me at least. And the monetary policy will continue to develop like this, which is positive for the asset markets, Bitcoin, stocks. So I don't really see a reason to be bearish right now. Obviously, we could still turn bearish. Anything's possible, but at this point of time, I'm quite bullish. But let's tune back in, and let me know in the chat what you personally think so far.
We know, as I mentioned in my remarks, that the actual things that we do will depend on the way the economy evolves. We can go quicker if that's appropriate. We can go slower if that's appropriate. We can pause if that's appropriate. But that's what we were contemplating. I would point you to the SEP as just an assessment of where of what the committee is thinking today, what the individual members rather of the committee are thinking today, assuming that their particular forecasts are realized.
Wow, Phantom, very bullish.
Good, Chris.
Hi, Chris Rugaber at Associated Press. Thank you. The projections show that the Fed officials expect the Fed funds rate to still be above their estimate of long-run neutral by the end of next year. So does that suggest you see rates as restrictive for that entire period? Does that threaten the weakening of the job market that you said you'd like to avoid? Or does it suggest that maybe people see the short-run neutral as a little bit higher? then long? Thank you.
I think the way I would really characterize it is this. I think people write down their estimate, individuals do. I think every single person on the committee, if you ask them what's your level of certainty around that, they would say there's a wide range where that could fall. So I think we don't know. There are model-based approaches and empirically based approaches that estimate what the neutral rate will be at any given time. But realistically, we know it by its works. So that leaves us in a place where where we expect, in the base case, to be continuing to remove restriction, and we'll be looking at the way the economy reacts to that, and that'll be guiding us in our thinking about the question that we're asking at every meeting, which is our policy.
So in short, the next inflation rate data, etc., will be very important again as well. Yeah. I think we know enough. Maybe there's still a question like if you're watching yourself right now as well, maybe there's still going to be a question that's going to be interesting. But for me, I think we've seen enough. And for me, I would say it's bullish. However, I do want to talk right now about how it's not necessarily only going to be bullish. All right. If you look at, like, in general, a 50 base points cut without recession fears, that's just bullish. All right. So if you look at the dollar strength index, if you look at the stock markets, everything is reacting relatively bullish. But I do want to warn you, all right, that too much euphoria so quick can be bad as well. So what you see already right now is that we're pulling back quite a bit. I think we're going to be bullish. I am not sure if we're going to be bullish right now. It could still take some time. Because what we're seeing right now is that the interest rate has dropped down to 5%. 5% is still relatively low, or relatively high, excuse me. Right? So maybe we need to see some more development before we can be bullish again later in the fourth quarter of this year, maybe quarter one of 2025. Ultimately, I'm bullish on crypto, Bitcoin at the very least. And there will always be altcoins that perform as well. So yes, I am bullish. I am not necessarily bullish on the short term. I think the short term, we still have to wait for some confirmation. All right. I think if you look at the 12-hour time frame here, if you look at the daily time frame here, I do think we're solid here. I think we're neutral. I think we can hold this support level here around 56 and 57,000. But if you really want to buy Bitcoin, if you really want confirmation of bullish momentum to persist and to continue, I would wait for a breakout above 62,000. And I will not guarantee right now that we will, all right, for the reasons I've given you. This is all bullish, but it's still relatively early. The markets, as we like if you look back 2 weeks ago, the markets were still super bad, all right? So maybe it's too early. I think ultimately this is going to cause an uptrend, a sustained uptrend and a breakout. Therefore, of course, for now, I would still be cautious. Like I said, I bought Bitcoin. I think 60,000. If you compare it to the all-time high, I think we can get to. I still think that's a great price to buy at. But it's if you're buying with relatively low dollar or euro amounts, I'm not sure if it's worth it. And it could just be better to DCA in because we could still be dropping down here. And yeah, like I said, I mean, we'll just have to look at all those economic numbers again, and hope that we don't get recession fears throughout those economic numbers, and hope that maybe we see some healthy development again, and that they can decrease the interest rates even more. That would be the ideal scenario. For now, I think the outcome is bullish. Like I said, I mean, I've said it 7 times right now, but I think short term, there is a chance we can break out here, and you need to be prepared for it. But I would say the best thing to assume that's going to happen is that we will just stay in this consolidation range for now. All right? I think that's the best thing to assume, so that at least you're safe. And then if we can get that breakout above 62,000, then you can turn bullish. And that's also when I will personally start to long some more cryptos. The light, by the way, is extremely bright. It's pretty crazy. Let me reset it. Nah, it's still bright, but all right. Let me see if Kanoi. It could be that we drop back down. That's what we have done the majority of the time, right? At these levels, except for this fake out. So this news is bullish. Is it bullish enough to push us through? Who knows? Solana, yeah. So if you have any questions, if anybody wants to have my opinion on anything specific, let me know. Let's take a look at Solana. Solana, I haven't been too positive about, and I think it's quite obvious why. I mean, Solana itself, like the main chart to look at for Solana, in my opinion, is always Solana against Bitcoin, and Solana against Bitcoin has been so weak that it's just not worth. It's just not worth trading this too much. All right, as long as this chart stays bearish, I don't think it's worth it to keep an eye on Solana. You can very much see like the 24th of June right here. This turned bullish. Then it got interesting to buy Solana. Also got bullish the 1st of May. Then Solana was very bullish. As long as Solana against Bitcoin is bearish, Solana is just going to be underperforming, and that's just a waste of time. I think long term, the levels that Solana is at right now are fine. All right, long term. Even though the situation for Solana right now is not great, I still think this is a relatively good buy area. But it's not a coin that I am buying right now. Dogs, for everybody that's here for Dogs is just not doing great. If you look at it right here, we talked about this yesterday in the video, but we have dropped down below 1,000. Right now, the main thing to look for with Dogs is some sort of a reclaim of 1,000, right? So you have that level. That is by far the most important level, and by far also the strongest technical level. If we're able to get there and break above that, then it's interesting. Until then, and you can see that on the 1 hour time frame right here with the trend. You can also see it on the 4 hour time frame. It's been that way for a bit longer. This is just bearish. So would I short this? No, with DWF Labs being the market maker, that's not something I would do. But the only way, or the only time I would buy this is if we're able to reclaim 1,000. And I think that's what you need to know. Ayman, you want to invest on Athena. Athena got hacked, right? So that's not necessarily something I would do. No, Athena is a decent project, but the same with this. Like, first of all, you should know, I rarely buy anything long-term anymore. And Athena would definitely not, with this trend, be one of my long-term picks. A lot of investors have bought into this. A lot of KOLs, a lot of influencers have bought in on this. So sometimes it pumps, and sure, it could pump now as well. But ultimately, it hasn't really proven to be a great investment. And I'm also not certain that it will be in the future. XRP we'll also take a look at. I see XRP going around quite a bit. See, XRP, I'm actually quite interested in buying. All right, so for those of you who don't know, the 6th of October is the deadline for the SEC to appeal the judgment that we got for the Ripple SEC case, which made XRP spike. Therefore, the closer we get to that appeal date, and there's no appeal yet, I think fundamentally that's bullish. But what I'm waiting for, if you go to the higher timeframes here, like some of you might not trust a trend line like this, and I understand. I mean, in the end, it's a line on the chart. But historically, like especially if it's respected like this, it does mean something. So I think if we can break out of, this downtrend right here, respected downtrend, then I'll buy. So that's basically if we break above 60 cents, then I'll buy. And for now we are still kind of stuck here, right? So we're basically consolidating here, and then eventually we'll do something like this, I think. Let's see. Fetch is quite bullish, right? Is it? Fetch is relatively bullish. I do want to stress, by the way, that everything I'm saying right now, like I'm talking a little bit more about the long term, or at least the next couple of months or next couple of weeks. The short term just depends completely on Bitcoin, right? So what you can see right now is that the entire market, some exceptions like Sui and Phantom, but the entire market is very correlated. So on the short term, everything is moving together with Bitcoin. I think Fetch, I scalped Fetch a little bit earlier this afternoon / morning. I think Fetch in general, if you look at this structure here, I think we have reversed. All right, and maybe we get one more rejection here. That is a possibility, but I do think that ultimately this structure leads to a break of 1.5 and a continuation, and it's just a matter of time before we get some sort of an AI narrative again, right? So Fetch I'm quite bullish on. But like I said, we might reject one more time. That depends on the markets here. 1.5 in general is the main level to break. Big psychological level, big technical level, etc. Let me can see. Yeah, Sui and Phantom, they are just being shilled. With Sui, I am a little bit more hesitant because Sui is just shit. It's very bullish. I mean, look at this structure. Like there's nothing bearish about Sui. But the product itself, the blockchain, is shit. And with Phantom, with what they're building with Sonic, I'm a little bit more bullish on that. All right, Phantom, like the team they have, that's quite strong. So with Phantom, and Phantom also, as you can see on the higher time frames, is turning bullish here. So that's going to be interesting as well. If Bitcoin can actually keep up this bullish momentum, I think Phantom is at least going back up to $1, potentially higher. But that depends on how Sonic launches. Jasmine is still relatively. Jasmine is not doing much right here. It's I made a video on Jasmine this morning. I think that's still kind of what to expect here. Momentum hasn't really arrived. So yes, we are pumping, but we're just pumping because Bitcoin is bullish. And ultimately, like this trend line, I would forget about. But ultimately with Jasmine, what you want to see is some sort of a breakout above a level like 2.15 or 2.25 cents. And until we get that, to hold it long term, I don't think it's interesting. And short term, I would also say it's more likely to kind of see it bounce around down here instead of getting into a big uptrend here. I would say. Naughty Ash, I'm not going to cover ApeCoin if you're spamming it like this. Come on now. You cannot do it. Yeah, Celestia I think is interesting because Celestia, as you can see here as well, has also turned quite bullish. Like a lot of these, this gives me quite a bit of hope as well. A lot of these altcoins have actually on the higher time frames turned relatively bullish. And Celestia, there's also a lot of talking about the big unlocks we have the 31st of October. That's going to be disastrous long term, but short term, that brings some sort of potential manipulation. And just in general mind share. So to be honest, Celestia looks quite likely to get to $6 in the short term. The technical structure is bullish. Like I said, a lot depends on Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin pulls back, Celestia will pull back as well into 5, maybe into 4.5. But ultimately, the structure looks quite bullish here. So I'll do one more. So let me know. One more. Let's see. Let's see what coins are requested quite a bit here. Solana was covered. Solana was covered already. I covered it as the first one. So a lot of people are talking about Cardano and let's cover Cardano because Polygon. Some people are asking about Polygon as well. Let's briefly cover that. Polygon is not doing great. All right. So Polygon and Cardano are kind of similar projects in terms of older layer 1 blockchains. I think Cardano has a little bit more potential than Polygon because Polygon right here it's just incredibly weak, right? Polygon has basically been in a downtrend ever since the 14th of March of 2024, excuse me. And it looks very like most coins have seen some sort of a renaissance in between. Polygon hasn't, and I think that speaks about a lot. Cardano is kind of the same, but the thing with Cardano is that we have found a solid support here between 30 cents and 32 cents. So what I think Cardano is doing right now is I do think Cardano is consolidating here, and I think Cardano is forming some sort of an accumulation pattern, whatever you want to call it. But I do think Cardano is going to be able to hold 30 cents here. So then it is keeping your eyes on this level at 37 cents, because if we're able to break above that, then all of a sudden you have a technically bullish Cardano. So wait for that. I'm relatively optimistic about Cardano, which sounds weird, I know. It's still bearish right now, but I do think after this accumulation period, I do think we'll get into an uptrend. It's just waiting for that confirmation, and for me, that confirmation would be 37 cents. But that's it, guys. That's going to be the live stream. We're going to end it as Bitcoin is pumping up quite a bit again. Like I said, just to finish this video, the press conference we had overall bullish. Whether that's going to result in short-term bullish momentum, I'm not sure, but keep your eyes on 62,000, all right? If we're able to get some sort of a 12-hour time frame break above 62,000, then I'm pretty confident we're going for higher highs, and we're going into the high 60s at the very least. But for now, like I said, I would assume that we will not break out, and that that we'll still have some sort of a pullback here. So those are my thoughts. That's what I'm going to end this live stream on. I think this was the most viewed live stream I've ever done. So thank you all for being here. Tomorrow, keep your eyes on the channel, because tomorrow we're going to do a giveaway. All right, it's going to be an easy giveaway to enter. You don't have to do all sorts of fancy stuff. Just follow the channels, etc. But keep your eyes on that, all right? Also join the Telegram, join the Discord. Links to that will be down in the description. Follow me on X, and then you don't have to do all of those, but then you'll be notified, all right? We're going to be doing a relatively big giveaway, depending on how the Champions League ends tonight, because I have some bets going on. So keep your eyes on that, all right? We'll do that. Join the Discord. The Discord is still relatively quiet right now, but if you tag me, I almost always respond, all right? And the Telegram is a little bit more busy, but make sure to join that as well. For Ipool, I'm not going to do that, but we're going to be giving away some money. But also, I'll see you all in my next videos. Mohammed, I talked about Solana a little bit earlier. That's what you need to know. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the support, and hopefully it was valuable. Have a great evening, have a great night, or have a great day if you're tuning in from the US. Thank you for watching, and bye.